Welcome back. Once again, we're here talking about tournaments and everything that made me me. Today is a huge deal to me. In 1999, as we already saw, I won as an amateur. 2000, didn't do as well fishing as an amateur, but you're dependent on your anglers and whatnot. It's team format. Learned a bunch of stuff. I learned that I had to relax a little bit in the back of the boat, that there's only so much you can do, but takes us to 2001. Big year. I cashed a check a number of times as a co-angler, and then of course the championship was on Lake Minnetonka, and huge deal. I ended up winning a boat, which back in those days they gave away quite a few. Nowadays they don't give away as many. So huge deal winning that boat, especially at 21 years old. Unreal. Really kick-started everything. That really put everything into overdrive from this year. So I'm just going to kind of go over the tournament. I got super fortunate with both the partners I had. Super fortunate to win the boat that I did. And we're just going to go back over some of the old footage and kind of some of the stuff that happened. So that's next.
Welcome to the Minnesota Pro-Am Bass Tour, the state's richest tournament fishing event. I'm Chip Lear.
And I'm Tommy Scarless. And folks, this is the event that we've all been waiting for, the Tournament of Champions here on beautiful Lake Minnetonka.
These anglers have worked all year for these final 2 days, Tommy, and we're in for a show.
They've waited a long time, and you need to wait too, because we've got some awesome action coming up.
By this year, you can see the production on this show is so much better. They brought in Tommy and Chip, two very professional guys.
We're at the championship. There's 40 pro anglers and 40 amateur anglers.
Minnetonka's always in the metro. So many people fish down there, so this was a big one.
Minnetonka is by far one of the top 5 largemouth fisheries in the nation. You know, I fished a lot around the country, and there's no better lake for the size.
This lake gives up some big fish. I mean, it's probably one of the best lakes in the state of Minnesota for giving up 5-pound fish consistently.
I'm going to go for the big fish this time because you got to go for broke. There's no points involved in this one, and you just got to go for the big one.
So they actually weren't with us. I got paired with Brian Brown, great guy. He's from Brainerd, of course, long ways from where we're at. And I just remember talking to him the night before, and I was like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I'm not for sure. Can't remember what he said for pre-fishing, how he had, but he had caught some fish. But he had talked to actually Chris Ludke, who wins the tournament. Great guy as well. And he's like, well, I wanted to start in this channel, but Chris said there's going to be a bunch of people in there. And so I was like, yeah, all right, you know, fishing a channel. At that time, I was like, not too sexy, not that sweet. But I was like, all right, well, you know, whatever. We got to start somewhere. It's the fall. We get in there, and immediately there's nobody in there. There's people going through the channel. And we caught, I don't know, 6 or 7 fish right away. I caught a 4-pounder. Maybe 4.5, was the only one that I contributed that day in this channel, throwing actually a 1-ounce jig right on the bank into some weeds. And Brian did the rest of the work. He was on. It was like one of those days, you know, you wouldn't forget. I can remember that we fished a bunch of docks and caught fish, caught some solid ones. Docks were a huge part at that time of year in September. And we had docks, and it was just like, go here, catch a 3-pounder. And I remember we went back into a tiny little lake, caught some fish somewhere I'd never really fished before out there, caught 2 or 3, and we came out of there, and he's like, you know, I think some people told me this was some good foil right here. And he's just pitching, and all of a sudden it was just like he was lifting up on the rod. I remember being in the back, and it just stopped. And then he was just like, boom, and set into it. Big fish of the day, 5.5-pounder. real big one. At that time, I was like, wow, I knew it takes 4-pound averages there, just not in the fall. I knew we had a really, really good bag. And it just was like one of those days that clicked, just catching fish. The rest of the day, that 5.5 pounder in that foil was something. There's never been fish there again where I've been at. But so then we fast forward to weigh-in. We knew we did good. We just didn't know how everybody else did.
2001 Minnesota Pro-Am Bass Tour Angler of the Year, Dean Capra. 20.82 is leading. You, Dean, 20.89, your new tournament leader.
From Victoria, Minnesota, this is Chris Lidke, and he's leading it with 22.54 pounds. Wow. This is a man that won a tournament this year on Lake Vermilion, 23.71.
Let's give a big round of applause for your new current tournament leader, Brad Klein. Let's bring him up and welcome from Brainerd, Minnesota, Mr. Brian Brown. Currently, Brad Klein's leading with 23.71 pounds. Brian, you are sneaking your way, and you're going to sneak your way into the lead with 28.72 pounds.
What a day. Leading the tournament. They must have kept us there till the end, towards the back one of the last bags, but some phenomenal Minnetonka fishermen there. Chris was right there. Brad Klein, heck of a fisherman, Minnetonka guy. Dino was right there. John Schley. Very good angler that time of year. Very good shallow water fisherman. And so we were right there. I remember it was kind of like, well, what is he going to do for tomorrow? And this is, you can see Brian up to start fishing in the channel again.
Leading it after day one, this is just an awesome day on Lake Minnetonka. I'm gonna have to get some more bites. I had very few bites today. Tomorrow's gonna be even a tougher day.
It feels good to get the first one on the boat. It's a smaller one. It looks like he'll be a keeper, but it's not the 3-pounders that were here yesterday.
Get him right.
Hope so.
The next day I was put with Troy Barrett, a guy here from the East Metro that had been fishing all the tournaments. Never fished with him before, but he wanted to start on buzzbait and doing docks and stuff, and I remember that was right up my alley. I was ready for it. So here's the next day. So as you can see, all this rain coming down. Me and Troy started on docks. I think we started out deep and then snuck right back into this dock. And I really caught him behind him that day. I wasn't doing anything special. I was just filling in docks on the gaps and other stuff the way that I fish around here. And I just caught him. Like there's, it wasn't, I was just doing a team thing, fishing behind him, throwing a tube, pitching it. We were doing exactly the kind of stuff that I like to do. And we came behind a dock and there's just like this community dock. I can't remember, it's been a few years ago now, but I think we caught 3 fish from this dock. I think I caught 2 behind them, pitching their quality ones. And then we went back into this little canal. I think we caught a couple, and I caught another one just like pitching the pads and foil in between the docks because they were just holding on that. I knew that from the day before when me and Brian were there that you had to fish that kind of stuff. And I remember sneaking one out of there. We must have fished a bunch of other docks where he said he had bites before, and we might have fished a couple deep spots and stuff like that. I can't 100%, but you can see now through the weigh-in that they're raining rain gear, and this whole giant storm came through, and I remember that we took shelter. We ran into some bay, like lightning was not good at that time. I was young and dumb, and I was like, it doesn't seem that bad. Troy did the right thing. He got out of there. He ran into a bay and we kind of started creeping out of there, and sure enough, once again, it was just me pitching pads behind him, and I caught another quality fish, just a tiny little group of pads, pitching that tube again, just fishing behind him just like what any other tournament guy would be doing. We got lucky, and you can see here, we had a pretty good bag. We didn't have any big ones. They were just nice solid ones. Back then there was an 8 fish limit. People had a little tougher time in the fall than what they do now, but it was unreal. I knew we had done pretty good. You can see they hold us to the end, but I was just pitching that tube and fishing behind Troy. He was doing a good job, just kind of expanding on stuff he did because he wasn't a big Minnetonka guy either. And so I just kind of, once again, I think I had 4 of our 8 fish, but it was all fishing stuff behind him, trying to be efficient as a tournament partner. So here's the rest of the way in through the rain.
Let's bring him up here from North St. Paul, Minnesota, Troy Barrett. He's going to need 21.52 pounds to take the lead, and we're going to end up at 21.86. This is your new tournament leader. And David, you end up taking over as your amateur leader.
Bam! Wow. I can't believe that. I knew we had to get a solid bag, but to get 21 right there, knew that I had a super good chance. I just couldn't believe it.
Gentlemen, 22.54 pounds for Chris yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, he needs 22.83, 23.74. Your 2001 Minnesota Pro-Am Bass Tour Tournament of Champions champion. They don't get any better than this.
How unreal was that? Freaking boat like that. I can remember, you know, against with all those people there to win that boat. There, this was at Maynard's down in Excelsior. And I remember I had my whole family there, my dad's side of the family. Lives right there, St. Bonifacius, right by Lake Minnetonka, and then my grandma came from Hopkins. So it was unreal to share it with all them, for them to be all there. And I'm pretty sure I had to come back like the next day or the next weekend or something to come back and pick the boat up. You know, I remember coming into Materns and there was my boat sitting there just in the grass going down to Minnetonka, and we brought the boat back and actually sold it later. But pretty cool. Let's see the trophy. So there you go, there's the trophy from back in the day. It's got a little dust on it, it's kind of old. But yeah, pretty awesome trophy. Awesome to get the boat. It's one of the ones I didn't keep the bait there. I didn't keep the bait with that one, but won this boat. We traded that boat to get this other boat. And what a feeling. Minnetonka, to be there with everyone. Here's this picture of the whole family. And definitely one of the tournaments that made me, I still got that drive that I want to go get another boat, want to win another boat for one of these tournaments coming up. I still got that I want to do it on my own instead of just a co-angler. But Troy, great guy. Brian Brown, great guy. And they both just had, very fortunate to fish with them, very fortunate that they were on them. Key to where I am today. So thank you guys. Thanks for watching. Incredible.
Last 2 days, Dave Sickenator, congratulations. You also get yourself a Ranger and Yamaha.